Welcome to Lesson 4 in Module 5. So we're going to talk now about a strategy that involves not breaking a chain of events. So this comes from an anecdote that a comedian named Brad Isaac told to a podcast interviewer, I believe. And what he said was that he was at a show where Jerry Seinfeld was performing as well. And so he was able to ask Jerry a question and asked him, do you have any tips for a young comic who's just getting started? And so what Jerry suggested was this, that he suggests that Brad get a wall calendar where the whole year is on one page, and every day that he writes a joke or some jokes, to put a mark on that calendar. He suggested a big red X through the day. Doesn't really matter what you do. And then after a while, the comic, when he writes every day, creating new jokes, he would see those marks add up. And eventually he would realize that what mattered was that he not break the chain. It would give him satisfaction to know that he wouldn't break the chain. And Jerry's point was that in order to be a better comic, you need to write lots of jokes. And you'll notice that when he answered Brad, he didn't talk at all about quality. What he's talking about is quantity over quality, just like we talked about in a previous lesson. And he's talking about laying track, just like we talked about, and the importance of creating that raw ball of clay. So he was really referring to the importance for comedians, that obviously they need good jokes. And good jokes are only going to come in the same way as good books are only going to come if the comedian writes every single day. And so this was Jerry's tip. And I love that it ties back into our quantity over quality principle. So same thing applies for you. I mean, if you're kind of visual and reward based, this might be a great idea to get a calendar of any sort. And I did this for a while. I bought a bunch of gold star stickers, and I put one on each day where I did my writing, and that was really helpful and rewarding, and a nice visual cue for me that I was actually accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish. And I wanted to mention this quote from Stephen King about hard work. And I think we sometimes have the misconception that creativity isn't hard work, and that if it's hard, if we're really putting in the hours and working at it, that somehow we're doing it wrong. But that's really not the case. And so this whole course, and specifically this module about these strategies and techniques and tools that we can use, are ways to really get the work done, because it is work. And I touched on the beginning about how some people have the misunderstanding that creativity just kind of comes to us. It arrives in a big flow, and suddenly we'll be inspired, and a perfect book will just pour out of our fingertips. And that's definitely not the case. So let's move on now. We're going to talk about journaling next. You might be rolling your eyes already, but just bear with me for 1 second and we'll talk about that. So I'll see you in there.